The California Gold Rush of 1848 is widely known. America's first major gold discoveries happened decades earlier and in the southern and eastern United States. The initial significant find happened in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina, in the 1790s. The second one was followed by the Benjamin Parks discovery in northern Georgia, October 27, 1828. This initiated the Georgia Gold Rush. Well, why, as a numismatist, am I talking to you about the gold rush of 1828 and 1790? Well, these events led thousands of miners and prospectors flocking to these regions in hope to find wealth. But all this gold in these remote areas of the United States immediately created a significant economic challenge. Initially, extracting gold, whether it was dust or nuggets or these little gold flakes, was exchanged locally through things like bartering. This system wasn't really satisfactory because nobody knew who was getting the fair deal. The information lacked standardization and therefore trust. Moreover, the transporting raw gold over long distances across the remote parts of the US was extremely risky because the only way that they could get these into gold coins was to send them to Philadelphia. So increasing the gold production in Southeast pushed Philadelphia Mint to its operational limits, demonstrating that a single distant mint would be insufficient to manage the nation's growing mineral wealth. Recognizing this, North Carolina merchants and miners reached out formally to Congress that they needed another branch mint. Now, the advocacy led to a crucial federal response on March 3rd, 1835. Now, Congress passed the legislation in an act, and we've talked about this, for three new branches: Charlotte, North Carolina, Dahlonega, Georgia, and New Orleans, Louisiana. We're going to be talking about two of these mints, Dahlonega and Charlotte. Now, how many coins do you think were minted during this time frame? We're going to look at a couple of charts, let you see the numbers, but I want you to understand that this is, well, a little bit misleading. Remember that the numbers that I'm going to show you are from the late 1800s. So it's not as we just look at the numbers, but when we start looking at the dollar value, the value of today would be absolutely staggering. I want you to look at some of these numbers. Look at the $5 to $6 million price points, where over a 1.2 and 1.4 million coins were minted respectively. But when we get down to it, we actually start to look at the various denominations: the gold $1, the quarter eagle, the $2.50, the $3 gold piece, and the $5 half eagle, with various issues ranging from 1838 all the way up until 1861. The Dahlonega actually made more coins than the rest. Why is that? Well, because there was gold starting to come out of California, and a lot of that was being pushed down into the south, and that gold was ending up in Dahlonega. Almost 20% of the coins that were minted in Dahlonega would be from gold located in the gold rush. I want to talk to you a little bit about the mints. March 3rd, 1835, wherein both of these were set by congressional authorization. However, the construction year changed. 1836 and 1835. They officially opened Dahlonega 1838 and 1837 for Charlotte. The first coin struck was March 28th in Charlotte and April 17th in Dahlonega. The last year was 1861, and in 1861, due to the Civil War finally being taken back over, the mints never opened back up. Now, Charlotte actually turned into a hospital, then downgraded to an assay office, and finally relocated and became a mint museum. In fact, it was the first mint museum of Charlotte. But the Dahlonega mint had a little bit different outcome. See, the mint never reopened. It became Georgia College for a little while, but burned down in 1878. Lost forever. The Dahlonega and Charlotte mints were crucial institutions in the early financial history of the United States. They emerged directly from the nation's significant gold rushes in the South and the Eastern United States. It established by an act of Congress as stated in 1835, and they shared the vital goal of converting locally mined gold into official U.S. currency. It addressed the persistent shortage of circulating coinage and reduced the transportation of raw gold back to the Philadelphia Mint. Now, both of these mints focused exclusively on gold coins and faced the same operational difficulties in the frontier area. During the Civil War, their histories diverged after Confederate forces seized them in the Civil War. Their distinct features, the specific coins they produced, all the differing legacies continue to fascinate coin collectors and historians. And if you're looking for one of these, they range anywhere from scarce to rare. The coins serve as a tangible reminder of a dynamic period in American economic and social development. Today, the legacy of these two mints continues, particularly within the field of numismatics. Their rare and distinctive gold coins continue to captivate collectors and serve as a tangible reminder of a pivotal era in American history. If you've enjoyed this, do me a favor, subscribe, hit that like button, and share with your buddies. Stay tuned because on June 22nd, 2025, I'm going to be housing an in-depth discussion on these two myths. Come join us. Hope to see you there.